So I got to make a holder for 2 of these things. Electric toothbrush charging mount. So really not too sure how to go about this. I've been scratching my head. Need the wires to, or the wires I should say, to be hidden. We still need to figure out a way to snake that through, plug it in without putting a huge hole in our project. Well, I've been scratching my head for a while. Maybe something like this. Gotta go in there. But then how do I get that wire through it? It's been racking my brain. I can't find out the answer. Maybe I gotta draw it a little better. Yeah, still not still don't quite get what the heck I gotta do here. I'm stumped. Do I dare take this one step further? I even took the time to draw it in SketchUp. I think I'm sort of getting the idea of what I want to do, but I can't quite figure out how to get everything to put together. This needs to slide in somehow so I can cover the wires. I need access to the front so I can drill my holes to attach it to the wall. How do I do all that without gluing it together? Hold on. I think I just solved our problem here. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna take one of those slats and we're gonna glue them up like so. We'll do a miter cord, not a butt joint. I just don't want to do a miter in SketchUp. We'll make this cleat that will sit on the back wall, kind of like a floating shelf. And then hopefully we can just take this and just slide it on. And we'll see if this works. Okay, we're gonna use walnut. It's going in our kind of ensuite bathroom here, so we wanted to match the cabinets. Obviously, my cabinets are made out of walnut, but they're maple stained dark, so this should fit in pretty well. And what we're gonna try to do, because this is so thick and our pieces are gonna be relatively thin, only 1/4 of an inch, we're gonna resaw what we need. So that means that we're gonna cut it this way, and then this will open up like a book. And the other thing we're gonna try to do is do a waterfall design all the way around. And what that just means is that the grain's gonna follow and wrap around our piece. Now, I've never tried doing anything like this before, but yeah, better time than now. Oh, hi there. Didn't even hear you come in. Just gonna cut this to 24 inches. All right, I'm gonna give you a close up here. You can see we're not quite flat. There's a bit of a bow. Oh, is that the foreman? No, it was the foreman. But what we can do with this instead of the plywood is actually use the joint over there. Okay, I'll get to work right away and flatten that out so we'll have a nice square surface. Yeah, I'll get to work. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do this. I marked the center of my board right there. Where's the camera? There it is. And it's in line with the center of the tooth. So we're gonna pass it through, just taking really shallow cuts. You don't wanna go too heavy on this, but we're gonna pass it through. And then flip it around, making sure that the same edge is up against the fence. Pass it through this way, raise it up until we progressively get through our piece of wood here. Okay, those cuts are done. A little burny in there. But what we have here, this is called matchbooking. Yes. So when you take two boards and you resaw them, if you flip them open like a book, the grains match. So that's something we can do. We're more interested in following the grain in this direction. So we're gonna clean this up on the planer, get them down to 1/4 of an inch, then we'll be ready to start getting our parts made. Quarter inch. I think I'm gonna do just some rough sanding here before we get started, because when we do our miters, believe it or not, when we sand, that wood grain is gonna change, so it might not give us that perfect waterfall effect that we're looking for. So I'll do the most of it now, and then after the project's assembled, we'll just do some light touch-ups or finish sanding there. So this is the piece we're gonna go with for our front. And you know, besides all TLC's wise advice, I am gonna be chasing this waterfall look. So how we're gonna do that, it's pretty simple actually. We're gonna come in and do our miters, focus, like that. Hope you can see that, and like that. So when we go to make our glue up, this grain is gonna look like it's gonna wrap around continuously. So like I said, I haven't tried this before. Hey, what's the worst that's gonna happen? All right, so here's that piece that we just cut. So what we need to do now is come back and cut this corner off so that when we make our second miter, those grains will look like they're just continuing to wrap around. All right. Hope you can see how that grain wraps around now. Let's do the other side. One continuous pattern. So I think what I'm gonna get into now is cutting the groove here for the bottom and that top shelf. So we need one here and one there. Times 2. So we got our rabbets cut here and a mock-up of what the inside of that little shelf is going to look like. So we got to figure out where to put our groove so we can slide it on. Just like that. So instead of measuring, as everybody knows that measuring is no good, we're just gonna line it up and then make a mark, or a pencil, make a mark where we're gonna put that groove in there. There we go, that fits on there pretty good. But it does back into here, so next thing we're gonna have to do is just take off a 1/4 inch just on this back piece here. So when you slide it in, it'll cover up our end piece right there. So I got the 1/4 inch spiral bit in there. And what we have to remove is this part here and this part here. So this one's gonna be easy because we can just, because there's that gap right there, push it up and go. This one, we have to come through this way. So what we're gonna have to do is come in over here, so come in blind, and then push it through. We'll see how that goes. you can see that little notch we made, so when we slide it back on, oh, that's probably a little bit, that's fine. It snugs up right like that. Now I overcut it just a bit. So this is gonna be up against the wall, so once you slide it in, it'll just butt when it's done. Now what we could do is glue this up now, but I'm worried that as soon as I put some clamping pressure on it, this is gonna wanna tilt in a bit. So I think our next step is to build, well, essentially a smaller version of this, so that when we glue it, we can stick it inside and it'll give me some resistance when I'm putting that squeeze on. All right, so we need to cut 3 pieces at exactly 11 3/4. I mean, that measurement, that's trivial. It could be a little bit over, a little bit under, we'll make it work. What's really important is that all 3 are exactly the same size. So that's why I've got a stop block clamped here. So we can take our piece, butt it up right against it, and we know that we're gonna have exactly the same thing time and time again. So we need 2 out of here, and 1 out of there. All right, so I got this mocked up, putting in clamps, everything's looking good, but bit of a gap. That's all right, because I cut this just a little long so I can sneak up on it. All right, so we snuck up on that cut, and that looks bang on. So I think what we're gonna do now is glue the back, the top, and the bottom together, and then try to glue everything else up. I almost forgot. We gotta drill a hole in there for the plug. So we're gonna do that now. It's gonna be a lot easier to do before we glue it up. After we glue it up, this thing's gonna be a little fragile, so let's get that cut out. Okay, the more I thought about this, the less sturdy I figured this was going to be, so I went ahead and I cut these blocks. They'll get sandwiched in there. That should give it enough strength. Maybe it's not holding much weight, but that should be plenty enough to keep it from wanting to squish together. So I'll throw some glue on here, probably just super glue on these so they dry up quick, and then we'll glue the rest together. Okay, well, let's do this. We're going to glue this down here. I'm going to stick that there. And then we're going to glue that on top and just put pressure on the whole thing. This will just keep it from rocking on us. Again, just a little bit. Round 2. And we'll forget you. I'm going to clamp this right down to the table here. Just light pressure to start with, and then we'll make sure everything's lined up. We'll give her the squeeze. It's all looking really good. Okay, so we had that all set up. Let this dry for a good half hour, and then yeah, work with the wrap. Yeah, that's that time to set. We're gonna, part I've been dreading, glue this veneer around. It's gonna be tough. Miter joints are always a pain. I think we got this though. I am ever having flashbacks of that knife block glue up. That end grain is really soaking up this glue. So I'll put some here too. I want to take our time with this one, make sure that all the work we did to get that waterfall to line up isn't just wasted. The key is just light pressure. Put it on backwards, son of a gun. Well, it's a good thing I caught that. Had my arrow pointing the other direction. That would have sucked. Well, these glue ups are always an adventure. We'll let this dry for a good hour, come back, reinforce the corners from the inside, and we'll put some finish on it. All right, here she is out of the clamp. Gave it a good clean up. Oop, don't drop it. There's our holder. So I can get this to work with one hand here. Just like that. Almost forgot that hole for the wires. All right, finish time. We're gonna use tongue oil. For this one, I think the oil is gonna help kind of seal the grain a bit. It is gonna be in a higher moisture environment, right? So you don't wanna be too crazy with this stuff, just a thin coat. Oh, that looks good. That little dab I put on the shop towel here goes a long way. Okay, coat one is done. Looking real good. We're gonna give this a good 12 hours to dry. I did buff most of it off, so already it does feel really dry to the touch, but we're gonna wait for it to dry, put a second coat on it, and tomorrow, stick it up on the wall. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, well, there it is. Oh, little echo in here. I can grab it. Opens up that counter real good. And when we're done, put it back down, up and out of the way. Hope you like the build. We'll see you next time. Don't go chasing waterfalls.